My name's Tim Bulmer. I'm an artist and I come from originally Northumberland, but now live in West Sussex with my wife and have two grown-up children who now live away from home. And the greatest satisfaction of my life at the moment, apart from my family, is working with all jigsaw puzzles. In 1985, I started working for a company called Forest Galleries in Guildford, and every time it was somebody's birthday, they'd ask me to do just a little card that usually involved all the people doing various bits and bobs. It was just, well, for want of a better word, a doodle really, but they rather liked them, and it did help when I asked the directors to a housewarming party when I positioned some artwork around the place for them to see. And they said, "Oh, do you think we could sell these at the gallery?" And I thought, "Oh, all right, fair enough, let's give it a shot." And it took a bit of time, but I had to rework my technique and sort of found a nice loose pencil and wash technique that people seem to like. And so in about 1987 I had my first exhibition, and then things really went from there. The route to success is failure, and I've come up with any amount of ridiculous ideas, 99.9% of which fail, and you get sort of inured to things not working. And one of my mad ideas was, well, let's give a jigsaw a go. And I'd just done this Yorkshire map, which I was selling as a print, and I looked up online on the steam-driven computers that would have been there, and came up with a company called Ryco in Melmerby near Ripon, and they did the first jigsaw and of Yorkshire, which we sold at various fairs locally, and it did extremely well. And then I did a couple of other titles, and again they did well at little local fairs and got great feedback. And then suddenly they said, "Oh, we're not doing the jigsaws anymore." "Oh crikey," he said, "yeah, you're going to have to deal with a place in Devon."
And do you know how big the range is now?
No idea. Gosh. Well, it was 1, and then it was about 3, and now it's 30 something.
37.
37. Blimey, O'Reilly. Regional maps are a labour of love. I have to create far more information, far more information than ever gets anywhere near being on the map. I start off by buying guides, and I read through them, and I take down as many notes as I can, pretty much a whole notebook, and I'll underline all of the towns that they have in the guides, and then I'll plot those onto a rough map, and I'll see where the gaps are, because obviously they're only going to pick out the places that are of interest to them. And this is where I confess to have to rely on Wikipedia, who I do pay money to every year, and I think everybody should do that, by the way. Wikipedia, you need the money. Brilliant source of information. And I'll just pick out all the villages I can that are in certain areas, and then go into Wikipedia, and as often as not it will just say, if anything, a small village in Lincolnshire. But they come up with all sorts of interesting facts, and so you can come up with some really interesting little unusual snippets that you wouldn't find otherwise. So you've got the little villages that you have to trawl through with a fine-tooth comb, finding out what you can, and it's amazing what you do find. And then you've got the bigger, better-known places that you get tons and tons of information on, but you only have room for one image. So by the end, I may have an image library of 400 or 500 images, notebooks filled with written information, and I then have to construct a map so it's nice and evenly spread, and also not overdoing certain subjects. So a lot of the churches are very interesting, but I'm not doing a church map. Or it might be famous people, places of interest, events of history, etc., etc. It's just got to be a good, interesting cross-section. Yes, I mean, it's the unexpected. It's very easy to do a map that features things that everybody's heard of, which has been done any amount of times. You've got to have an element of that, obviously, so people can get their geographic grounding. But it is interesting from my point of view, and I think from whoever's doing the jigsaw puzzle, to be discovering things that they had no idea existed. So it just makes it much more fun and is educative without being sort of school marmery, you know.
Do you want a cup of tea or anything?
Oh, a cup of tea. No, I won't. Not while I'm talking.
No, right.
Because I'll be, you know.
When you finish, I'll make you a cup of tea.
Bless you. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mel. You can't use that.